freshen things up with a long-awaited guest, somebody who should have been here a long time ago, partly because it's basically, well, I mean, not basically, literally, she's the reason why the podcast exists, because years ago at the Roost, she was just very, like, she wasn't assertive about it. She was just sort of clear about it, said, like, you should have a podcast. You should do a podcast. And I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I should. Her benefits extend beyond that. A lot of you already love her from the Indoor Kids and all kinds of stuff, and she's got a book that's coming out that we'll plug. But let's get to talking to her. Emily Gordon's here. Yeah!
Hello, Emily.
Hello.
Emily Vance Gordon.
Vance, that's right.
You got a cool middle name.
I hate that middle name.
Why? It's rad.
It was supposed to be my first name if I was going to be a boy, and I wasn't. Because I don't think anybody would have sex with someone named Vance, so I'm quite happy about that. But middle name status, I'll take it. It's fine. Yeah.
Emily Vance. So they loved the name so much they couldn't let it go, even though you were a woman.
It must be in here somewhere. I'm lucky I didn't get one of those four-name people. You know the four-name people? It's not good.
What? I have kind of an equally charming story. My parents didn't expect a third child, so they made up a name and...
Dan? Did they make up Dan?
Yeah.
You guys, the creator of Dan.
They just grabbed it and rolled me under a porch. So I want to start with like one of the most I think this kind of exemplifies you in my mind, my relationship with you, your role in my cosmos. I'm constantly retweeting you, things that you just retweet. It's not like you're out there like aggressively asserting yourself, but you like Graham Linehan, who we had on the show.
Oh, he's so great on Twitter.
Yeah, and particularly through the things he retweets, it's like kind of by looking at his retweets, I feel like a smarter person, and I also feel like a much dumber person. But your stuff, the stuff that you retweet, is like the emotional equivalent of that. The most exemplary one. Was you simply retweeted a Tumblr? No, was this something that you wrote, or was this something?
No, it's something that somebody else wrote that I just saw and retumbled and therefore retweeted.
It was.
God, I hate myself. Just having to say that sentence out loud, I'm not fond of myself.
We all died a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
It was simply a list of ways to compliment people. I don't want to get this wrong. List of ways to compliment people without involving their physical appearance.
Their appearance. Yeah, that's it. That was it.
Nice things you can say to people other than how they look.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like my brain like flipped over, because it was like, this is something I should have realized a long time ago. It's like, it's beyond gender politics. It's beyond, but it certainly afflicts, probably, if I were to guess, the female self-esteem a little more than the half of the species that's allowed to look like this.
What were a couple that you remember, or anything?
You know what? Fuck it. No, I didn't even read it.
Based on the title alone, you were like, yes. This speaks to me.
I'm telling you that, but that's an important thing. So the piece is think about this. This is a piece that made my mind flop 180 degrees about some part of my brain just like reshuffled completely. And there was no outrage. There was no lynching. There was no anger. There was no shaming. Even comedically, and all this comedy people, like that's how we express our progress, is we
bitch about things.
Yeah, your husband's the best at it.
Oh, he's so good.
He's fucking great. He's like Lancelot. He's out there like slashing.
He complains on a constant basis.
That's what we do. That's as progressive as comedy and comedy writers get. We kind of like we stab and we poke at the things that we don't like. But this was a thing that was like, hey, here's a list of things you could say to somebody that you like, that have nothing to do with their physical appearance, and there was no victimization, there was nothing. I would name a couple of them, things that you could say. I don't remember a goddamn one, and I don't have to.
I enjoy the way your voice sounds. Wouldn't you love hearing that from somebody, you guys. I think it was stuff like, I like how your voice sounds. I enjoy the work that you did on that thing. Like, just very kind of random things, but...
I enjoy spending time with you.
I enjoy spending time with you, yeah.
You make me feel better about myself.
Just like a genuine, like, vulnerable expression of, like, this is something you do that I like. Like, that's kind of a rarity. You don't really have a lot of...
You scare me less than other people.
You make me feel like dancing. I'm going to dance the night away.
Yeah. I want to dance with somebody who loves me, obviously.
I'm your private dancer.
Dancer for money?
A dancer for money.
Oh, will you do what I want you to do?
Yeah. I
Don't make it about yourself. Make it about her.
These are our dance hall days.
You're just scrambling now.
Everybody Wang Chun tonight? Can we Wang Chun? I just feel like a lot of times the stuff I see on Tumblr specifically, if you spend any time on it, it's just people full of hate and rage, like college rage, which is a very specific rage. And I was like, when you're telling this is fucked up when this happens and this should be happening instead, then all people want to talk about is this is what's fucked up. And they're like, well, that's not fucked up. You don't understand. You weren't there. You don't know. Let me explain it to you, little lady. So I'm like, I would rather just skip to the second part, which is putting out good stuff and being like, well, then just take this.
What is the goal? What is the end game that we want?
Yeah.
We want to be happy, supposedly, right?
We want satisfied.
Supposedly when you're charging at a guy on Twitter and you're like fucking like lancing him.
Yeah.
In theory, like in plain sight theory, the theory we all accept, which I don't know, is it true? Is that behind all of that force is revolution, and the name of the revolution is can't we all just get along? Now,
is it though? I don't even know.
Yeah, if your flag is can't we all just get along?
That's a fucked up flag too.
Why under that flag are you slitting people's throats? No matter how racist they are, no matter how much like when are we gonna get to this revolution where we go like? Let's start. It's more boring, but let's start setting the example.
It's so much more boring. It's fucking terrible, really.
And it's really hard to think of a positive way to incite subversive thought. But another. I mean, and I've referenced it numerous times on this podcast. I think you retweeted it. Was the blog entry, the article that was admit it, your fave is problematic.
That was a great one.
I thought there was such a gracious invitation within there. It was like such a beacon of light within a generation that I am so like shaking my cane at all the time. But I was like, oh, this is the thing that I'm looking for, is the idea that can we acknowledge that humanity is so flawed that, that if we are going to clean up this porch, that it is going to involve touching dirt. And if we all go ick every time we touch dirt and point at it and scream dirt, 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 we're gonna be a bunch of fucking clean children on a dirty porch shrieking at each other.
We don't ever get to have works. We don't ever get to have conversations about anything because it's too. When you start, if you even start, people are like, well, here's why what you said is problematic, and then there's no conversations that are going to move anyone anywhere because it's all like, how fast can I shut you down? How quickly can I shut you down and then shame you? And then we don't get to move in any direction from there.
How much of the shame and the hate or trolling do you get that's simply because you're a woman?
It's actually, and me saying this is going to make it happen more. So be aware
Gauntlet
of that.
thrown.
The gauntlet is thrown. I actually don't. It's not that bad. It's really not that bad for me. And it also makes me mad when people are like, "You're one of the good ones," like one of the good feminists, and I'm like,
the Jimi Hendrix.
And I'm like, well, now I want to be one of the bad ones, you fucking asshole. Don't ever tell me I'm one of the good ones because you'll see me become the bad one. But yeah,
is that because that you project yourself like you seem to have a pretty sane approach to how you do stuff.
I try to, and when I talk about like sex or something, like I'll like say something about giving a blowjob or something, and people will be like, that's so cool that you talk about that and you're feminist. I'm like, yeah, feminists give all of the blowjobs. We give all of them. We love it. It's so great. How much power do you have when you have a man's genitals in your fucking mouth? That is power.
You definitely.
Thank you. Good night.
You do not want a blowjob from a non-feminist. Really. It's the worst. It's probably all teeth.
All teeth.
Right. No, but related to that, like, there's another anecdotal thing. But I also like we're coming so close to which I think is beautiful, is bridging this from societal stuff and digital stuff to couple stuff, because your original wheelhouse is you're an expatriate from the. Weren't you a couples therapist?
Yeah, I was a couples and family therapist.
And you fled.
I ran fast.
Which makes you more trustworthy as a therapist than anybody who stayed. But
it's true. I was a therapist I practiced for almost about 6.5, almost 7 years, and I really loved it. But I chose to work with really tough populations, and really tough populations will burn you the fuck out. So I was like, I tried to take a job working with people who were just like, oh, you feel stressed out. And I was like, fuck you. You have no idea how good you have it. And then I was like, oh, I got to get out of here. This is my fault now.
What do you mean when you say tough population?
I worked, my first job was with kids who had been removed from their home, and their next step was going to be to put in training school, which is like bye-bye until you're 18. And then my next job was with only suicidal people. My next job was with 270 people with schizophrenia who were living in a house or a hotel.
That's how Freddy Krueger got born.
I know, right?
The bastard child of 1,000 maniacs.
1,000 maniacs. Yeah.
That's how sperm works, right? We all learned in Dream Warriors.
Which, by the way,
that sperm is like a slushy. Like if 1,000 crazy people rape one nun, it makes Freddy Krueger with their combined sperm? That's irresponsible.
It's like a gay couple where they're like, we don't want to know which one it really was. We just want it to be all of our kids together. And some of them's like, he's got my eyes though. I think it's mine.
He has my proclivity for knife fingering.
Yeah, he's got all my burnt flesh.
I kind of want to. Like, part of me really wants, because I think so many people are listening that could benefit, because what you just said earlier was that you actually have a easier time, and I think it's not an incorrect assumption that has something to do with inside you, that you know how to handle things better. Therefore, I'm curious, that's for all of us out there who are living on Twitter, living in social media comment sections, getting into these tangles that jack up our nervous system, and all of a sudden we're just like, I mean, what do you do in these very typical situations that maybe some of us aren't doing?
Okay, that's a good question. I would say, and I'm not always great at it, if you catch me on a weird day, I'll fucking yell at you for no reason and then apologize later. And that's the thing I've learned. One is that what I don't want to have to do is apologize to someone who is a little shitty to me when I blow up later, and then I'm like, you're right, I'm sorry, I said something shitty. I don't want to have to apologize to you. Fuck off. So that's my first line of defense. Second line of defense is going, what do I really want out of this? Like, genuinely, what is the ideal outcome of this situation for me? And is there any chance in fucking hell that I'm going to get it? Right. And if there's just not, then I just choose not to engage. Right. Like, there's no point to me. Like, if what I want is, I want you to stop being racist and sexist and understand how I feel about things, I'm not going to do that over Twitter.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen.
And why would you want that for some
right?
dude? What kind of weird dead man walking relationship is that? Or you're just going to be Susan Sarandon to one guy on Twitter?
You're the one. I've decided. I will change you. And for so many, I think women too, we take on project dudes to date. And so taking on project dudes on Twitter, I feel like is like a weird extension of that, of like taking on like, I will make you better. I will be the special one that will understand you and make you. It's not my job.
It could be. I think we're all afflicted to that by it though, like, because we all want to. I think so. What I'm hearing and combining it with the tools I'm acquiring in therapy right now.
Just the fact that you said what I'm hearing is good stuff. Good reframe.
Right,
yeah, it's good stuff. Good
by the way, you look fantastic tonight. Fuck.
Emily, is Kumail a project dude?
Of course.
Anyway,
of
what
course
were you saying? No.
Oh, I shouldn't have answered for you. It just seems so obvious.
No, he's not. No, not at all.
I mean, thank God he's not here tonight.
No, he's not backstage staring at me right now. No, not at all. He was one of the first guys I dated that did not need me to function. And so that was why he was terrifying, but also why I fell in love with him.
Would I just to linger, not to beat this dead horse, but just because I do think that people listening could like benefit from this, because we're interacting all the time, just in these little digital bursts. Would you say that then, like, one of the differences between your type of interaction with trolls, let's call them. Like, do you do a lot of just blocking, ignoring?
I do some blocking, yeah. I try to think, like, what do I want? And if what I want is to make this guy feel shame or bad, then I'm like, I need to find another way to make... there are other ways to affect someone's emotions that don't involve... Because some days you just want to make other people feel bad. You feel bad, you want to fucking spread it around, but just be honest with your own intentions.
Right.
Like, you're like, no, I want to educate him about fifth-wave feminism. No, you don't. You want to fucking make him feel bad. You want to make him feel bad because he made you feel bad. You don't want to educate him. You don't give a fuck if he's educated. Just be honest with that desire within yourself, and then also think about him. What does he want? He wants to make you feel bad. Are you going to let him have that? That's a lot of power to give somebody, a stranger who has an egg for a fucking face. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. I feel like I have, like, incidentally, like going to therapy, and then as a direct result of therapy, I adopted this new thing, which I never would have done before. I actually, when I started on Twitter, I thought that blocking people was like some kind of admission of defeat.
You won? Yeah.
Like, no, I can fucking take anybody down. Come at me. Fucking,
Yeah.
like, I'm Steven Seagal.
And what does that even mean, take them down? What does that even mean?
I mean, I'll tell you what it means, because I'm still, part of me is like, no, I want you to understand how good I am. It means they block me. And I was fucking good at it. Like I would that was my zero-sum game. Like, for real, for 3 years, that was my game. Like, people would come at me and they'd go like, community sucks, and I'd be like, all right, let's talk for a while. 3 weeks later, they're blocking me,
Like,
and I'm like coming at them going, hey, I thought you wanted to talk, motherfucker! That's me winning. Unhealthy.
Meanwhile, community, they're like, hey, where's Dan? Oh, I don't know. I think he's talking with a guy
Because
from
then I'm
3 weeks
fucking
ago.
into him. I'm like, why do you draw like an 8-year-old? Is it because your dad left? and they're just like crying and like fucking like, I just fantasize about their suicide. Don't commit suicide. Talk to somebody.
Suicide is not good. There's a number you can call.
So in therapy, because of the stuff I learned, then I just like applied that. I never talked to my therapist about Twitter.
That specific thing, yeah.
But I applied the tools that I was learning in therapy
What a good
to like.
client you are.
What's that?
Applying tools you've learned elsewhere. What a great client
Yeah, I'm
you
all
are.
over the place. And I'm assuming you think I look great, but won't tell me because you're so advanced.
I'll tell you later. Off mic.
I feel like if somebody came up to me and said, you know what, I really like the sound of your talking voice, that's them saying, you look like shit.
I think
I can't think of anything to say nice about the way you look.
with all due respect to Emily, I think the sound of your voice was the bad first example.
That was maybe a bad first example.
Because it kind of is physical. It's like
That's true. That is a
because then
little
someone else
physical.
is like, "What about me?"
Yeah.
And really, they just have an ugly throat.
Could you? That's a great
But
voice.
more importantly, if you're foxy and all people do is tell you you're foxy, that's actually the more important battleground.
Absolutely.
Like you should be. Anyways, so let's get to that later, because you're writing a book about you're about to come out with a book about self-esteem.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
But fuck you.
Fuck you all.